Let's go live. Welcome, everyone. A beautiful Wednesday. Thank you for your patience. It is so appreciated. Let's jump right in, shall we? You're not pretending. You're not pretending. What am I talking about? You know when people say, oh, you got to trick your brain into doing what it is that you want to do? You cannot trick your brain. You're not tricking your brain. You're not pretending. You are creating. So when you have that inner conversation, you are creating. You're not pretending. You're not pretending or rehearsing to say, oh, well, this is what I would say. No, that's not pretending. That is your, I want to use the word rehearsing. Why? Because when you have that inner conversation, you are creating. It is the image in your mind that you are shaping your life to become. That's what you're doing. So, no, you're not tricking anything. Listen, you can't fool yourself because that is not the design. The law does not use trickery. It does not say, okay, look, we're going to pretend that this is happening, right? No. The minute you get into that frame of mind where you are having a mental conversation with yourself, especially with some kind of passion. This is why I tell you when you get in the mirror and you look in the mirror, you're watching yourself create. You're watching, are you not watching yourself create? What do you get in that mirror? You put on your lip liner, your eyeliner, your lashes. You are creating a masterpiece of what you will look like when you get outside. You're not fooling your brain. You're not tricking it. We don't trick ourselves into anything. We create. So that inner conversation that you are having, that is the conversation. That is the quote unquote imaginary vase that you are shaping on the potter's wheel. So no, you're not faking it until you make it. You are shaping it and molding it until it until you cut it off the wheel. So let me say it to you again. You are not fooling yourself. You're not tricking yourself into something. When you have an inner conversation, when you have an inner image, that is what you are recreating. That's what you're recreating. It is law, as within, so without. So long as you are, you know, you're having that conversation and you're saying in your mind, girl, do you know what I've done? Listen, I was just sitting here and I said to myself, look, man, I really want to experience this thing. So I was like, Angela said, you're on that wheel. Nobody knows what I got on the wheel because nobody can see what's on the wheel yet, but I'm the one seeing it in my mind. So every time I talk to myself about it, I keep going through the motions. What is my family saying? What am I saying to my family? What is my bestie saying to me? What am I saying to my bestie? I am saying, oh, what? I did this. I thought I was crazy. I thought, I'm just pretending something can happen. But no, I'm not pretending. I'm creating this thing. That's how you talk to yourself. We do not pretend. We're not pretending. We're getting the image in our minds so we can recreate it. That's what we're doing. So the next time you hear, you've got to trick yourself into doing this thing, remember, you're not tricking anyone. I know because I used to think that as well. But then I was like, wait, but that doesn't make any sense. The law is very clear. The law says the universe is a mental creation. Hold the image, and in order to sustain the image, just like you do in your garden, when you plant the seeds, you water it, you make sure the weeds, those are the inner conversations that you are having. You know, you get up in the morning and you talk about, man, this was good. Yeah, it's good to be at work. I'm really enjoying this job. Because, sometimes we feel like, oh, here I am again. I'm at this job. But what if you talk to yourself and you say, look, here's how we're going to do this thing with this job. Whenever I think about my job, it's the best thing in the world. It's the best thing. Yeah, I might not be able to get along with everybody, but everybody has their own projections. So, how do I want to project myself into this job? Here's how I want to. This is how I want to show up. Hey, girl, how you doing? Today's a good day, ain't it? Look at that. We almost at mid-month. You know how accounting is gonna be. But let me tell you something. How about we make accounting? You make it flow real good, and about you start talking about how good accounting turned out this week and how you were ahead of the game. And you marvel at, I didn't think it was going to happen, but what? Lo and behold, there it was. Why do you think Neville Goddard stressed in the conversations? Hmm? Because he understood that the inner conversation is what you are recreating for the external. You're the one casting the shadow out into the world. You are projecting. That's what it is to cast the shadow. You what? You beam it outward. You're projecting it. You are talking to yourself because you are getting that shape together in your mind. And the way to nurture it is to continually have the conversation. Think about this. When an actor rehearses their lines, they're not pretending to rehearse. They are rehearsing their lines so they can do what? When they get on the stage and the director goes, action, what are they going to do? They're going to play it out the way they rehearsed it in their head. So are you pretending? You are not pretending. You hear somebody say to you, and you have the conversation with them. Let me tell you something. That bag you made for me, oh, is spectacular. Listen, the leather you used was so soft. Every time I touch it, I feel like I'm the richest woman in the world. Nobody has this bag that I've got. And the funny thing is, people stop me and say, where'd you get that bag? Where'd you get that purse? Where'd you get it? And what do I tell them? I always tell them, look, I know somebody who knows somebody that makes bags. Oh, yes, they do. And I saw their work and I said, I gotta have one of those. That's the conversation you have with a complete stranger. Telling them about your purchase, telling them about the thing you have. It's not that you're going to worry about where the money's going to come from to pay for it. That's not what you're doing. You are telling them because you've gone to the end. Remember, the vase is complete in your mind already. So you have the purse already because you saw it in your mind. You're Miss McQueen. I'm talking about you today, in case you didn't know, because this is what I'm looking for. I've never carried a bag in my life or a purse. Do you understand me? I carry a wallet in my bare hands. But lately, I've been feeling there's a particular, I don't know, there's a particular confidence that I'm feeling. And It's there because I'm carrying a bag. Now, I have long arms. So the straps can't be too long, Miss McQueen. I don't even know if this is something you do, but this is the conversation I'm having in my head, telling people about this bag that I've got, custom made just for me. So you're on the spot today. You're going to have to slide in my DMs. We'll talk more about it. So I can, the image I have in my mind, I can transfer it to your mind because it exists. So you see, we don't pretend to do a single thing. We're not pretending. No, you are creating that thing. With every inner conversation you have, you are creating it. So this is why now, if you got a situation that might be a little bit, tenuous, mm, it feels a little bit like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. Begin to have the conversation. You notice it is not about the other person. It can't be. It's about you. What kind of conversation are you going to have? You know? What kind of conversation are you going to have with this person? What are you going to hear them say? It's about you, right? So you want to hear. You want to hear what you're going to say, how they're going to respond. And every time you think about them, have the conversation. You are forming that image in your mind. And the more you do it, the clearer the image becomes. And remember, Neville Goddard says when you hit the climax and boom, yeah, the image has now solidified itself in your mind. So you're sitting at the potter's wheel and you're shaping it from what? The image in your mind. So you're having the conversation from the conversation you have in your mind. That's why you're cautioned. That's why you're cautioned. Let me tell you something. If I'd have known then, yeah, I knew the law then, back in the day last year. Sure, I did. But a funny thing happens to you. The more you use it, the better you get, right? I can't go back and beat myself up for my shortcomings last year. I can't do that. But I can go forward and create better experiences. Can I not? But of course. So that's why I'm telling you today, we are never pretending because, listen, it is real out here in these streets. How do you know it's real in the streets? It's real in the streets because it was real in your mind and you projected it outward over and over and over again. That's what you're doing. Every time you reinforce that inner conversation, every time you think about that thing, every time you talk to a client, what kind of conversation do you want to have with the client? What do you want to hear them say? Oh my God, I love the work you do. You make things seem so simple. And when I try it, you're right, it's so easy. I don't even know how many people I've told about your work. And then you can respond, I figured it was somebody because my phone's been ringing off the hook. People are coming to me and I don't even know these people. And they keep telling me, I heard about the work you do. That is not a pretend conversation. It's not a pretend conversation. You know why it's not a pretend conversation? You're the one initiating that conversation. One. Two, you initiated that inner conversation based upon what you want to experience. So if that's what you did, you are creating, not pretending. You're creating. You're not pretending. Mm-hmm. This is what this is what it is. We are always creating because we are always talking to ourselves. So when you catch yourself having a conversation, what kind of conversation is it? What kind of conversation is it? And you notice how there's no judgment. Judge yourself in that conversation and tell me what can you expect on the outside? Judgment? But of course, because it has to correspond. As within, so without. I say as within, so without, because within the seed, the fruit is contained within the seed. Is it not? When you have the seed, you already have the harvest. When you have the seed, you already have the harvest. Or else you would not plant the seed. Because when you plant the seed, what do you get? You reap the harvest. So, do you or do you not have what it is you say you are creating? You don't have to pretend that you already have it. You need to know that you already have it. And this is why you use the law of correspondence. When you go outside and you plant something, you plant with what? You plant with the knowledge that you're reaping the thing you planted. So, do you have it or not? Yeah, you have your harvest. You have it. Remember the potter. You have the image of the vase in your mind. Do you not have it? If you didn't have it, you could not recreate it on the wheel. So you don't have to pretend that it's coming. You don't have to pretend that you have it. You have to know that you have it. Because when you have the seed in the palm of your hand, you also have the harvest. This is the point right now. This is what will make life considerably easier for you when you recognize, oh, but Angela, this person, they not very nice. What do you want to experience? Remember the law of polarity. The reason why I pound this home every day is because faith comes by what now? Hearing. It's not what you hear, but how many times you hear it. And when you hear it as many times as you do, you become emboldened to do what? Try it out. Listen, you have to test your hypothesis. You can't just have it be theoretical. The law is not theoretical, it is practical. The law is practical. The law is practical, which means you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and do it. You say, well, I don't know how it's going to unfold. It unfolds. It unfolds the more you rehearse it, the more you practice it. Of course it does. Because you begin to see it more clearly the more you mold and shape it. That's what that inner conversation is doing. But Angela, what if people think I'm delusional? That's a word we like to throw about a lot. Because if you begin to think yourself delusional, what happens to you? You get scared. What if I'm listening to the wrong voice? That's why you meditate. You meditate for the sole purpose of learning who you are and what your voice sounds like. You know why? So you can be just like the body. You use the law of correspondence. Your body knows itself. So that when a foreign contaminant comes along, it knows what to do. Hmm? That's what you're doing. I could say something else here. Ooh, But I'm going to remind you, you are not pretending to do a gosh darn thing. No, you're not. No, you're not. How do you think people come up with these witty sayings and comebacks? I heard one the other day. I heard the other day, if you give, no, if you let them shenan once, they gonna shenan again. Listen, that thing caught me off guard. If you let them shenan once, they gonna shenan again. I was like, what? What? Who comes up with these things? You know how they come up with these things? Because of the inner conversations they have with themselves. That's why they can be so witty, because they practice their comebacks. That's what I'm trying to tell you today. You're not pretending. You're not pretending at all. This is why Neville Goddard says to you, use the lullaby method as you're falling asleep. Play it over and feel the emotion of it in your body. Listen, do you know why that emotion shows up in your body? Two things: correspondence, cause and effect. When you do something on the inside, this is why I say as within, so without. But the actual law is as above, so below. But the reason I say within, without is so that you're reminded to that you see it. But as above, so below. The thought is above in your mind, right? Well, then below it has to show up in your body. So when you say, when you start, have you ever watched, there's this video. Have you ever watched women look at Henry Cavill? There's this one video where she sits there and he's talking. He's so engrossed in what he's saying. She has no idea what the hell this man is talking about. She's just looking at this man and her mouth is open. What kind of conversation do you think she's having in her mind? I wonder what you think she's saying in her mind. Oh my God. Look at how thick his neck is. That's what's going on in there. So when you're having that inner conversation, right? This is why Neville says things happen naturally, because naturally we speak to ourselves, because that is the design. So when you're having that inner conversation, your body responds. That's why the emotion is linked. That's why you're being told feeling is the secret. But you have to understand why feeling is the secret. It's not the secret, feeling is law. The thought you're having above in your mind must register in your body so that you know you're on the right track. It has to. The thought in your mind is the seed of the harvest, and so it shows up in your body. So if you're thinking about somebody that you can't stand, what does your body do? Mm-hmm. And the more you think about that person that you can't stand, what does your body do? It gets real good. So that when you encounter a similar situation with somebody, because why are you going to have that similar situation? Because you thinking about them. Because you talking about that conversation. You having that conversation inside. So the type of conversation that you're having mentally must show up physically in your body. It is the law of correspondence. So when we hit the bowl and you feel, what are you feeling? You're not just pulling a feeling randomly. The thought is there, and the body corresponds with the sensation. So that when you have a memory and you say, but I don't know what relief feels like. Listen, you made it home after a long drive and you just ran to the party and you peed. You sat there, you said, Oh, that feels so good. Whew. Did you not know what relief felt like? Of course, you know what relief feels like. So now, if you want to recall relief, all you're recalling here now, you want to have a conversation of relief. Relief has a memory stored in your body. So, whatever memory that is stored in your body is associated with the same thought. So, if you want to conjure relief, repeat the conversation. And relief will be. So now you want to do a new conversation that is associated with relief. Here's how you can do every effect has its cause. Bring up the sensation of relief and now generate the new cause. You say, God, whew, what a relief. I finished month end on time. So that now you're telling yourself that your job is a relief. Do you comprehend what I'm sharing with you this morning? You're not pretending, you're creating. Let's take a moment, shall we? I swear to God, I can bend time. It's been 26 minutes and it feels like it's been 5, but that could just be my perception. Let's take a moment to welcome everyone to the space. Jeff, darling, it is lovely to see your face. Welcome to Twitter. It is always a pleasure to communicate and connect with you. Fanbase, Matthias, Miss McQueen, Flo, Smiles, Yolanda, Zola. It is good to see you all here also. Oh, indeed it is. Facebook, we got Indy. Hey, girl. I see you, baby. Now, who we got in the mix on YouTube? Sonia. Hey, A Not, Queen Red Pill, Cyber. And we have our omnipresent Sugar Vision, Marjorie, the better man, Shea Butter. I read this earlier, Marjorie. Marjorie said, Morning, Angela. I just had to cut off a mental conversation and come lie down and breathe. Plus, I was right on time to catch your live. Huh, what's the live about? You're not pretending. It all depends on that inner conversation that you're having consistently and persistently that you are creating. Oh my God, what a coincidence. What a synchronistic event. Is it? Or is it law? Mm. Cyber says, why don't we give the imaginal act the respect it deserves? Neville held the imaginal to a higher regard than he did the 3D, but I find it hard to get there, seeing the 3D as a shadow of past imaginings. Then I trust, Cyber, that this conversation we're having this morning, or this lesson that we're having this morning, sheds greater light and makes it easier for you. This is because Neville Goddard knew the principles or the laws of creation. He knew that the universe is a mental creation. And so, whatever is going on mentally is what you will create on the external. That's what he knew. That's what he understood. But you see what happens to us? The better man, I see you. Don't think I forgot you. I saw you, okay? I saw you. Don't think that for a minute he forgot to tell you something. He didn't. He understood and he respected it because he knew that the universe is a mental creation. So it doesn't matter what's happening in the 3D, you put it there. But you see, the issue is people don't explain it accurately. And you know why they don't explain it accurately? Because they don't grasp it for themselves fully. They're just regurgitating information. That's what I'm saying to you today. When I got up, the reason why I did not post the title is because I didn't have a title. I got up this morning and I said, what are we going to talk about today? What is the lesson supposed to be? What say you? And I heard, you're not pretending. Every imaginable conversation, you're creating it. That's what I heard this morning, as clear as day. And I said, well, here we go. So this is the thing, right? This is why the now is all there is. It's not now is all there is because it's a cool thing to say. Now is all there is because of the law. Cause and effect. If you do the cause now, the effect shows up, sometimes almost instantaneously, depending on how big that thing is, how many components are required to bring it to fruition. So, in other words, if it takes the potter 3 hours to mold and shape the image from his mind into the clay, it didn't manifest instantly. It manifested in 3 hours because that's how long it took him or her to project that image from their minds into the clay. So that's what you and I are doing on a daily basis. Does this make sense? Does that make sense? Because we get caught up, people say we get caught up in the 3D. Oh, you have to ignore the 3D. You do not ignore the 3D. You cannot ignore the 3D. The 3D is the result of you molding and shaping that image from your mind into the clay. That's why I'm going to say it the way I just heard it. That's why when you hold the seed in your hand, you have already got your harvest. You do not plant so you don't reap. You plant so that you do reap. So when you plant that seed, you have the harvest. You have the harvest. That's what the seed signifies. Without the seed, what are you going to harvest? No seed, no harvest. You got the seed, you got the harvest. So you have the imaginal act, you have it in the 3D. And to remind yourself of that, remind yourself of the potter at the wheel. That image in their mind is as clear as day. You can't tell them it isn't real. It's there. They're the ones molding and shaping. How are you going to tell them that's not real? That's just in your imagination. How are you going to say that to somebody? This is the point today. If you have the seed, you have the harvest. This is why the scripture says to you, when you pray, believe that you have received and you have it. That's what it's telling you day in and day out. Lord, I feel like I'm yelling. Okay, breathe, Angela. Breathe. When you plant your seed, you did not plant the seed at random. You planted the seed because you stood before that piece of space and you said, I want to eat some beautiful things. What do I want to eat? I want to eat some butternut squash because you know winter is coming and ain't nothing like a hot bowl of soup. I need some squash. You had the end in mind, didn't you? You had a cold winter's day in mind, so you planted squash. Did you not? You went to the end. We do the end naturally. You looked at that garden and you said, well, listen, summer is coming and you know how hot we get up in here. So I'm going to need me some beautiful, sweet, refreshing watermelon. Oh, yes. Because I can see myself sitting in that lounge chair and I'm going to eat that watermelon and have the juice run down all my chin. Ooh, girl. So you plant the watermelon. Do you not have the watermelon? Do you not have the butternut squash? And you say, well, look, these grandkids come over all the time and they love sweet peas. So I'm going to plant me some sweet peas. So when they come over, they can pick the sugar snap peas and eat them. Because I love their giggles. And I love it when they say, aw, but Nana, these sweet peas are so tasty. You were at the end. You saw their excitement. So you planted your harvest. So every time, right? It's by design though. It's by design that you scoff at your imagination. Why? Because if you scoff at your imagination, you won't use it the way that it was intended. You use it unwittingly. You use it to create chaos in your world because you don't believe it works, so why do it? Right? This is the whole point that I'm conveying to you this morning. Cyber, that sounds like a Yapo quote. Which one? um, Let me see. There's something here. Oh, hey, Diamond. It is good to see you. Yes, Diamond. I know of Nevolution. I know of her. And Diamond is saying there's an amazing meditation here on YouTube to completely take the 3D out and believe that your imagination is the only thing creating. Nevolution, you are the creator. Meditation. Hope this helps. See? That 3D, the 3D must correspond with what is within you. The 3D must correspond with what is within you. And so this is why when people say things like, I've been trying to do this, I've been trying to manifest this thing for like forever. We don't try, we do or we do not. Yoda. That's what we do. We do it. So you get in there. And this is why scientists, Dr. Joe Dispenza, will tell you just as you get up in the morning and just as you're drifting off to sleep, that's the time you have access effortlessly to your subconscious mind. But you see, if you pay attention throughout the day, you'll find that you always have access to your subconscious mind. And so when you recognize that you have access to your subconscious mind, you will listen. The minute, here's your clue that you're in your subconscious mind. When you are in your subconscious mind, to catch yourself and recognize that you're there, pay attention to what you just did. Pay attention to what you just did. If you recall the memory, if you're listening to music, if you're washing the dishes, if you're bathing, if you're driving the same route, you are in the subconscious mind because you are recalling and reliving. So when you catch yourself recalling and reliving, hey, ask yourself, ooh, is this what I want to relive? So now when you catch yourself, what do? Insert what you want to do, insert a new memory. Have that conversation so much that have the conversation so much that it takes on a life of its own. It builds momentum because you're not pretending, you're creating. So that when the potter sits at the wheel, I don't even know if they shut their eyes or not and they go by feel. How do you know they're going by feel? Because in their mind, every curve, every bend, the shape, they are so familiar with the shape that they feel it. They're very tactile, but they're also great visualizers because they see it. But you're a great visualizer too. Hey, Brandon. But you hear what I'm saying to you this morning. Let me see. Marjorie. Oh, Marjorie teaching today. Marjorie is teaching today. Marjorie says, Cyber, take that word hard. Say it easy, or you can get there because you can, and don't give up. Practice, practice. Marjorie, you teach it. Teach it, Marjorie. You teach it because she's talking from pure raw experience, so she knows what she's talking about. Yes, Queen Red Pill. Cyber says, thank you, Angela and Marjorie. I think you're right about the time lag aspect. The 3D seems more real because you put your hand on the stove. Right? That's the point. That's the point. Yeah, but it's just like that. We give more credence to the 3D. See, even that is a catch thing to say. Ignore the 3D. That's a catchphrase now. That thing is taken on a life of its own, so much so that people don't know why they say it and what it means. The 3D has to be there because it has to correspond with as above, so below. If it is in your mind, it's going to be in your body. If it's in the seed, it is the harvest. As within the seed, so must the harvest be on the outside. You see, Cyber, and he says if you imagine that stove and you put your hand on it, you can feel the heat. That's what he is. That's what he's saying to me right now. He can feel the heat. It's getting hot in here. Sorry, um, because you're talking about heat. Anyway, hey Lilith girl, I see you. Well, you hear what I'm saying to you today. You are not pretending. Do you know how you know you're not pretending? I will always go to this part because we live it every day and it's most familiar and relatable to us. Cuss that person out in your mind. Yeah, you know that when you see them, you gonna get them a piece of your mind. So what do? You rehearse what you're gonna say. You rehearse every word, every comeback. If they say this, I'ma say this. Because you hear them telling it to you, so you tell them your catchphrase, you tell them your comeback. And you cuss them out in your head. You're not pretending. You are not pretending. Because as soon as you see them, something happens. You know why something happens? Because you spent so much time rehearsing that argument that you are walking in a particular way. You're looking at them in a particular way. Your face is set in a particular way because it has to correspond. Your body has to feel the sensation of the conversation you are having in your head. And this is why the feeling is the secret. It is the corresponding. It is the as above, so below. That's what you're doing day in and day out. Okay, breathe, Angela, breathe, breathe, breathe. I'm not arguing. I'm not yelling. It's okay. So you see today, my beautiful friends, comprehend what it is that you're doing. Because when understanding means you get it, right? But comprehension means, oh, you have a deeper getting of what it is. Yeah? So next time you slip into your subconscious mind, next time, listen, that's why I tell you, you remember, you relive. Understand that. When you remember, you relive. So, and when you are remembering, your body might be here right now, huh, but your awareness is not. You are somewhere else. You're somewhere else. And wherever you are is what you're gonna, it has to correspond. So if you are recalling your past pain, your past injustices, you've got to bring it here now because we only exist now. So when you remember the injustice, you're dragging it from to. You're dragging it from where it is to where you are. I'm going to say it to you again. When you remember your injustice, when you remember the wrong that has been done to you, when you remember the pain and how visceral it feels, what are you doing? Okay, okay. When you remember your injustice, when you remember your past hurt, when you remember your pain so viscerally, so visually, with such intensity, you are moving it from where it is to where you are. And if you're moving it from where it is to where you are, what are you doing? You're saying to yourself, oh, well, this is what I want to experience right now. And what happens? You experience it right now. And then what do you have the audacity to say? You say, you see, life sucks. Everybody's always out to hurt me. Nobody cares about me. Because you, with your passion, dragged it from where it was. You created a zombie in your own life. You resurrected that injustice. And now you're mad that you're living it out. Don't get mad that you're living it out. Recognize what you did and then employ the law of polarity and say, oh my God, I just saw what I did. I said, this is where I am now and this is what I'm doing with that memory. I used that memory to say I'm here right now. And that's why I experienced it. So, where do I want to be instead? Well, I don't want to be at that memory anymore. So, what do I want to do? I want to create a new memory for myself. So, I'm going to have a new conversation because I know that having that past conversation just put me right here to have it. So, I'm going to have a new conversation so I can have a new experience. Cause and effect. That's how you talk to yourself. Well, maybe not in that tone, but that's how you talk to yourself because that's what you're doing. That is what you are doing day in and day out. Day in and day out. That's exactly what you're doing because that is the design. Cyber, you just might be right. You just might be right. I'm going to say it again. Marjorie says, even when we don't believe it works and create chaos, if we look carefully at the chaos, we will see that it worked. The 3D is the info. Preach, Marjorie. Preach it today. You know what's one of the most beautiful things? one of the most beautiful things is someone who applies the law and watches it unfold in their life. Listen, when they get up and they dance, they are infectious with their dance. They are infectious with their projections. And you know where they're doing it from? They're doing it from a place of love. I'm calling you out today, Miss Marjorie. They're doing it from a place of love. Do you know why? Because they suffered and they know what it's like. The reason I'm calling Marjorie out is because she's the one sharing. When you share, when you get bold and you share, I'm going to call you out too. So don't think I'm singling anybody out. It's just that she's here now, so I'm saying it. So when she's saying to you, even though you think it might not be working, she says, look at your 3D. It is the info, it is the evidence of your behavior. And how does she know? Because she's the one who lived it. She had inner conversations and she lived them. And she changed her inner conversations and now she's living something else. So this is pure raw experience that she's connected the dots to see because she applied the law. Right? Iapo said he had a late night. Iapo, honey, I understand. You're not late. You're right here, right now. You're on time. Cyber says that Iapo is still sipping on that transmuted water into wine. I love it. You see, this is the beauty of what we have been given. And this is why so much effort has been put into you not knowing. I'm going to say it again. So much effort has been put into you not knowing of the law's existence consciously. You know that the law exists. You know it. What law? Well, let's talk about it. Hello, Desiree. Let's talk about that. What is the law that governs all of creation? The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. As within, so without. As above, so below, which is correspondence, vibration. Everything moves. Nothing stands still. So you think, oh my God, I'm stuck. You cannot be stuck because everything moves. It's either moving real fast and it looks like it's standing still, or it's moving real slow and it looks like you aren't moving either. But then something happens with that vibration. Just a good vibration. Anyway, with the vibration, you get polarity. From to. You're moving yourself from where you are to where you want to be. This is why you're moving yourself between two things that are the same in their nature. When somebody pisses you off, you're moving yourself from strong dislike to like. Because strong dislike and like are the same. You have to raise or lower the vibration. Oh, touchy. But you're manipulating the vibration. How do you manipulate the vibration? By way of your decision, your thought. Remember, it's a mental universe. So now you have a particular behavior, a particular way of doing things. From moving yourself from somewhere to somewhere else, you will create a rhythm. I watched a show yesterday, and I snapped my lips, oh my God. And he sat outside in his car with a camera, and he watched them. What was he watching? He was watching their rhythm. What's your rhythm? Your rhythm is a habit, Lord Jesus. Your rhythm is a habit. Your habit is the way you move yourself from where you are to where you want to be. You have a specific way of doing things. So where's rhythm? Take rhythm above now, because you know rhythm below is your habit. So where's the habit above? high tide and low tide. What are we talking about today? We're talking about the lion's gate that's open, right? That is a rhythm. How do you know that you can predict the lion's gate? Because you know when it starts and you know when it stops and starts again. That is rhythm. High tide, low tide, full moon, quarter moon, half moon. It is rhythm. That's what it is. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Those are rhythms. That is law. But now you see the rhythm will cause you to do something. You're behaving the way you have conditioned yourself to behave. And from that rhythm, so now you will do something and it will bring about an effect. Every cause has an effect, and every effect, its cause. Why? Because you projected. Masculine is to project outward. So the thought you are projecting from your conscious mind into where? The feminine, the subconscious mind. And what will it do? It's the seed, so it will have to correspond with your experience on the outside. So you see, those are the laws that govern all of creation. So no, don't think you can escape them. They're inescapable. But then again, you don't want to escape them. You don't want to escape the laws that govern all of creation because they keep things organized. And as Daddy always says, you got to be organized to be recognized. That's what he always says. So this is why today, if you are going to have a conversation with yourself, we do it naturally, do we not? Of course we do. You talk to yourself and you answer yourself because you're having a conversation. There must be a call and a response, a question and an answer. It is cause and effect, right? So when you do that and you're having that inner conversation, the tone of that inner conversation will show up in your body as a sensation. Think about the one you love. You get all warm and fuzzy. You think about your new baby and you go, oh, look at those cheeks. And you kiss those cheeks and you numb that little neck because they're ticklish. Aw, you thought about them and you got all warm and fuzzy. This is why we walk with those pictures in our phones nowadays. Oh, look, here's my baby. Because why? It makes you feel good when you think about them. So now if you think about somebody that you just can't stand, what's your body gonna do? Oh, oh, you gonna grit those teeth and ball up those fists and like, oh, you know what they did to me. Oh, why does the body respond that way? The law of correspondence. As above in the mind, so below in the body. As within your mind, so without in the body. So when you're having that conversation, you're not pretending. So when you hear, oh, you have to trick your body. Oh, your mind doesn't know. Of course it knows. Do you know what it knows? It knows creation. It knows when creation begins, and so it responds to creation. So that's why when you have the conversation, you are being creative. You're the cause. And so because you create that conversation, an effect must ensue, an effect must follow. So if you create the argument in your mind that you think nobody hears, they don't need to hear it. They just need to look at your face to know what kind of conversation you're having with yourself. Because as within, so without. That's why you can't hide these things. This is why people have learned to read the cues. We call them body language experts. All they're doing is interpreting the law of correspondence because they can tell you what you're thinking based upon how the corners of your mouth tighten, the way your eyes squint, the way you subconsciously ball up your fist. It is law every day, all day. So, what you gonna do the next time you have that conversation? So, what did we learn today? We learned today that the inner conversation is not pretend. We're not doing make believe. Ooh, Interesting turn of phrase, to make believe. Every time you have that inner conversation, you're making yourself believe that it is real. And so it has to become real to you. Huh. Revelation, at least to me it was. That's what we're doing. So we learned today that inner conversation is not pretend. It's not pretend. This is why any good actor, when they get on the stage, Romeo, oh Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. You can feel the love. Any good actor, they're not pretending, they're projecting a sensation that they feel into you. So is it not real? This is why you cry at the notebook. Because the thing made you feel something. But it's just a movie, isn't it? Because creation is recognized. So every time you do a particular conversation incessantly, like my chatter, the more you do that conversation over and over and over and over in your head, just like the potter at the wheel, you are becoming familiar with the shape of the vase that you are going to do what? Project masculine from your conscious mind. That image of the vase is there, right? That's where it is. And so now what you do, you project it into the clay. The clay is feminine. And so now you press the pedal, you dip your hands in the water, and you press the pedal some more and some more, and it takes the shape of the image in your mind. And this is why when you pray, you must believe that you have received it. And I told you how to make it easier on yourself so you don't have to pretend. How do you make it easy on yourself? When you go into the garden, you have to use the law of correspondence to understand the situation. It is not imaginary. When you go into the garden and you say, I'm going to eat me some watermelon, but you planted the watermelon seed, so do you not have watermelon? Of course you have watermelon, or else you would not have planted it. So you do have your harvest. It is there. It exists. Oh, but it's taking so long. Why does it take so long? Now, here's something for you. They use the law of rhythm to tell you how many days it takes for that seed to germinate. When you flip the seed packet over and it says this seed takes, so it goes from 0 to 40 days, that's how it will give you the amount of days for maturity. 0 to however many days from seed to harvest. That's the law of rhythm. How? Because somebody had to plant the seed and count. Rhythm is something you can count so that you know how long it takes. So we are here sitting and saying, why is it taking so long? Are we there yet? This is why Neville Goddard says to us, everything has its appointed time. That little kernel of corn has maybe 180 days. So then what does that tell you? It tells you when to plant. So that you don't plant and then it's winter. No, it tells you when to plant so that you can be optimal at reaping your harvest. Do you understand what I'm saying to you today? This is the beauty of what we have been given. So, no, you're not pretending. You're not pretending. You are creating. So, you're going to have to get used to that. And I know some people say, are you trying to tell me that I purposely created this garbage in my life? When I tell you that you created everything in your life, I'm not telling it to you so that I can be mean and go, loser. That's not what I'm saying to you. I am saying to you that as children, we learned how to behave. We learned how to do things. Why? Because when you train up a child in the way it should go, they will not depart from it. So everything that you're doing now, you learned how to do. But if you as an adult are looking at your life and saying, but by golly gee, I don't quite like that behavior. Oh, but you learned it all those years ago. So that's what you are living now, all the things that you learned how to do. So if you say this is unacceptable, what does that mean? It means you have to learn a new way. That's what it means. That's what it means when I say you are creating your life. So if you're looking at a behavior you don't like, create a new behavior. That's how you use the law of polarity. Where are you now and what are you doing? But you see us, we want to look at the behavior and beat ourselves up and go, oh my God, I'm such a loser. I'm so like, why can't I change? Then you catch yourself saying something like, why do I keep making the same mistake? Why do I keep choosing the same kind of man? Because you keep doing the same behavior. And the law of causation or causality tells us every cause has an effect, and every effect its cause. So if you keep doing the same cause, you cannot expect a different effect. If you plant corn, you can't get peas. This is what the law is telling you. So you don't judge your bad behavior. You look at it and go, that will not do. So I'm going to do this behavior. And you get up every day and you must do the new behavior. Why? Because if you stop doing the new behavior, because everything always moves, nothing stands still. So you can't not do something. So if you don't do the new, you will continue to do the old. Just saying, right? I'm just saying. Because this is the way the law works. So if you have a habit of saying, nothing I do ever turns out, you learn how to do that. You learn how to say that based upon experiences. And so now you say nothing ever works out for me. You can't be made a liar of. You have to be honest. So nothing will ever work out. But if you say, you know what, I'm tired of that being that way in my life, I want things to work for me. So how do you fix it? By first recognizing and acknowledging where you are. And now you begin to have a different conversation. Instead of telling yourself nothing ever works, you say, hey, I'm learning a new way to be. I'm testing this hypothesis. So I'm going to do this behavior and I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to start this project because I'm really quite interested in doing it. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to practice it. And I'm going to practice it. And every time I catch myself saying, well, nothing ever works for me, I'm going to remind myself that that was my old way. Because remember, the old way that you speak to yourself must correspond to your body. Oh, you have to have the sensation in your body to confirm, because that's the law of correspondence. So anytime that fear arises when you want to try something new, when you want to take on a new project, and that crippling fear comes up and says, really? Look at all the other things you tried. You never succeeded before. What makes you think you're going to succeed now? You could try it, but we know how this is going to turn out. So you may as well don't waste your time or your money. And that's what you hear. That's what you hear. And so then we sit in the corner and we say, you see, I can't do it. But if you use the law of polarity says, where are you now? And what are you doing? Well, I'm here. I'd like to do a new project. So what are you doing? I'm not doing anything because I'm scared. Then polarity says, well, where do you want to be and what do you want to do? Well, you know what? I want to do this project. And doing this project has certain actions. And so what actions do you want to do? Well, you know what? I want to get the plan together. I want to be as clear as I can be. But I'm scared. What if I don't have the money? What do you want to do? I want to finish this project that I start. So what does that mean? What does that look like? It means you're going to get up, you're going to get your project out. What action is required for you to do this project? Do you need investors? Well, then you need to have a rock solid business plan. Why? Because you have to transfer your vision. Remember, you are the potter at the wheel. You have to transfer the image of your final product from your mind onto the business plan so that when they review your business plan, they say, girl, take my money. We call it Shark Tank. We call it the Lion's Den. That's what you're doing. It's the law of gender. You are projecting your final product from your mind into their mind so that when they see it, they say, I got to be a part of this. That is what you're doing. So now you can look at that old you and say, oh my God, I did it. I did it. And all of a sudden, you gain more confidence. Come now. So that the next project you say to yourself, and you apply the exact same formula. You get a clear image of what you want to do, and that clear image will have what? That clear image will have your steps. The steps of a righteous man are ordered by God. What does that mean? Right thinking is righteous. That's what it means. Righteousness means right thinking, right consciousness, meaning you have to be aware of where you are. That's what it means to be conscious. You are aware of where you are, and you are also aware of who you are. You notice if somebody's charismatic, people want to get behind them because they can see the vision. They can feel the vision. So they want to be in support of that person. So what's that telling you about the person who's charismatic? They know who they are. They've spent the time having that inner conversation in their minds. But you want to get in the mirror. I ain't saying you because I'm pointing fingers. I'm saying you as in general, as in humanity. Sometimes we want to get in the mirror and break ourselves down. Ew, look at you. Oh, look. Look how many blemishes you have. Who's going to like you? You ugly. And we tell ourselves these things. And then we're surprised when somebody says, oh my God, you're like gross. My son is something else. When they play games online, people become insulting. One day I heard my son say, there's nothing you can tell me that I haven't already told myself. And I was like, sweet Jesus, this is either a good thing or a bad thing. and I'm like, how do I deal with this? But this is the point that I'm trying to make to you today. Nobody can come along and tell you something you haven't already told yourself. Why? The law of correspondence. And that's why when you ignore something, yes, cyber, you are running from it. But it is pointless to run. You see, we run because we are afraid. But if you assess the fear is the emotion. Holy sweet Jesus, how did we get to an hour? Okay, let me wrap it up for you. Fear is the emotion. That emotion, just emotions, is telling you something. Your emotion is showing you your behavior. You can't do anything with fear. But if you look at what the behavior is that causes the fear, now you can change the behavior, which will take you towards what? Courage. Oh my God, I'm so sad. That's such a big umbrella. What is the behavior of your sadness? I'm sad because I don't have any friends. I'm sad because nobody likes me. Oh, so you're feeling lonely and you're looking for companionship? Well, then, how do you deal with that? You've got to put yourself in a place where there are other people like you. So that means you need to know who you are. What are you good at? What do you like doing? What are your hobbies? And now you get involved with things that match your hobbies because that means you're not isolated anymore because you're sad. You're sad because of a behavior, cause and effect. So look at the sadness and watch the behavior. Well, I'm lonely. What are your hobbies? Do you see why you need to know yourself? Because when you know your hobbies, you can get involved with other people who have the same hobbies as you. That's why when you say, oh my God, we like have so much in common. How do you know you have something in common if you don't know who you are? So you have to know who you are. But what happens? We are scared to get to know ourselves. Listen, how do you get to know somebody? You know that person that you really like? You like the smell of their cologne or their perfume. If you watch The Witcher, he says gooseberries and lavender. You spend time with them. What does it mean to spend time with yourself? Read your favorite genre of book. Do you like to draw? Well, then draw. Do you like to cook? Well, then cook. You like to bake? Bake. Spend time with you. What you good at? Get to know you. Oh, indeed. Get to know you. Get to know the way you think. Get to know the way you behave. Why? Because you'll know a man by his habits. What are your habits? How you want somebody to get to know you when you don't know you? Oh. Anywho, I said I'm a Marjorie and Cyber having a conversation in here. Yes. Yeah, and Cyber says it doesn't feel like I'm pretending in my imagination, but when I try to walk in the state and to be that person now in the 3D, there's a subtle voice inside saying, man, who you trying to kid? But that's what I'm trying to say to you today. When you hear that thing, man, who you think you fooling? You ain't nobody. When you hear that, that's your old conversation. That is your old conversation. But what is the new conversation? Have that. Have the new conversation. And that new conversation is real important. Begin to create the type of conversations inside of you that you want to have on the outside of you. And when you do that, watch what happens. If you're having a confident conversation inside, your whole physiological body changes. Your posture changes. The look in your eyes, the look of love. Anyway, the look in your eyes will change. That smile, a subtle smile will change. The swagger you have will change. Oh, indeed. Wear something new that nobody can see, and you begin to move a little differently. Nobody knows but you. So the behavior automatically matches based upon the conversation you are having inside of your head. If you're always arguing inside your head, well, then, as we say in Barbados, you got your face set up like rain. Let me say it in English. Your face has been set up like the clouds, like rain, then. Dark and dismal and gloomy. Who's going to want to approach that? They won't approach it because they're afraid of that lightning bolt you'll shoot out. I digress. I trust that, hey, Yoda Burger, I trust that things make sense to you today and that you will apply them. Now, if you want to catch the replay, because I know that Fanbase does not quite have that option yet, but it is on YouTube under Positively Angela. And last night, if you missed hitting the bull 777, I saw you there. Oh, I did. If you missed hitting the bowl, let me tell you something. I don't know what it is. Well, I know it's the law of vibration, right? Because everything moves and your body responds to the vibration. How do you know your body responds to vibration? Turn on your favorite song and tell me. As I said to you a couple days ago, you want to raise your vibration? Raise your legs. Dance. That's what I'm talking about, raising legs. I don't know what you're thinking about, but I digress. This is what it is. If you missed that, every Tuesday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Fanbase, YouTube, and Facebook, we hit the bowl. I just play the crystal bowl. Let me tell you something. You have to experience it. Because if I say to you, have you ever had an orchard fresh peach? tree ripened and you bite into it. First of all, when you pick it, you smell it. Oh, it is so divine. But how are you going to know how sweet that peach is if you have not experienced it for yourself? So the invitation is open every Tuesday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I'm on Mountain Time. I'm 2 hours behind, right? Come out and experience it for yourself, or hit up my YouTube channel and check it out for yourself so you see what you're getting. Or if you pop over to YouTube, because we always end over there when I close Twitter and Fanbase, I have a recording of the bowl. I played it on Sunday, which I thought was Saturday the whole time. But pop over there because I always play that recording at the end. So you get a sense of how it feels in your body, and then you go out into the world. Oh, it is so, so soothing, right? If you want to send me an email or a DM, the link tree is in my bio. There's a little envelope or any of my social media platforms. Drop your girl a line and let me know what's going on. Or if you find that, hey, I like what she's doing, perhaps I'll subscribe to her on Fanbase. You can do that. Or you can subscribe on YouTube and join a membership if you'd like for 99 cents a month. You can do that if you like what we do here. Or you can send a donation if you'd like. That's totally up to you. It's, I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to be here and I'm still going to share the law. With or without it, I'm still going to do it because that's the way it is. That's the way the law is. You are compelled to share. So, anywho, Iapo, why is it a natural bent for humans to lean toward the negative? From what I've seen in my 60 plus years, no one ever has to teach people to be negative. Well, they're the strongest of emotions. They're the strongest of emotions, one. And two, we've been taught don't let nobody talk disrespectfully to you. You you let somebody catch these hands. It and we're always taught to defend ourselves. We're always looking. We're always looking for something to fight. And we've been given something to fight, haven't we? Watch the world that we're living in. And that's part of the reason why we tend to lean towards the negative. Because we think everything is an injustice towards us. As people, we that's how we feel. And so you're primed to fight. So if you're primed to fight, like the saying goes, if you're a hammer, everything is a nail. And so it's just become a habit to lean towards the negative. And the more negativity you're around, meaning if you were raised in that kind of an environment, well, shoot, that's just even more potent. It seems people must learn and be taught positivity, never the other way around. Yes, Iapo, this is true. Because we're always looking. We're always, honestly, we're just always looking for something to complain about. Because people like to gossip. You understand? But that's my interpretation. Cyber, you're so cute. Cyber says he sends many donations in his imagination. It'll come. Listen, Cyber, the fact that you are here and you are so active and you share and you comment, you help the algorithm. Do you understand? Day in and day out, you help the algorithm. That is your way of contributing to the growth of this channel, right? It's like the woman in the Bible with her last two mites that she had. She gave them. Your mites are you clicking share and like and commenting, and you always message me with such beautiful messages. This is the whole point. You give where you are at. You don't cut your nose to spoil your features, y'all. What am I saying to you? This is just what I'm saying, right? But anyhow, this is just the beauty of what we've been given with the law. Thank you, Queen Red Pill. Thank you. She says it was an excellent lesson for today. and that she knows herself very well. Yet I still learn new things and invent myself on a and reinvent myself on a regular. But that's the point. You must, because we're living in the now. Things happen right now that there are effects that we experience that cause us. So this is why every time there's cause and effect, you must reinvent because you're living by way of causation. So you have to reinvent the self based upon the cause. That's why you live now as opposed to dragging your memories from way back then. Because if you drag the memory from way back then, you're going to live it now. Queen Redfield, speaking of donation, did you get mine? Oh no, I haven't yet. I don't think Lance has noticed. Oh, so maybe message Lance because I know he's been really busy with the move and everything. Speaking of Lance, we are on at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning talking about what? Oh dear. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So we talk about current events. Lance will ask me questions regarding current events. And I know y'all want to see the law in here about the brawl, but I digress. But we talk about, well, he will ask about a current event. And he'll say, Angela, where's the law there? And how do you apply the law to change? And I will give you the law because we live by way of our experiences. Right? So that's where we are. It's on Lance Scurv. I'm on his platform. I still haven't figured out how to do that yet. If you know, let me know. I want to be able to. Do I have a link? I do. Okay, wait. Hold on, y'all. I can do this. I can do this. I don't know how to do it yet. It's on my phone, and that's not here with me. There might be some noise. Hold on, y'all. There might be some noise. Uh, go here because I'm gonna pin that link so you guys can be there. Mm, there we go. Go like this and go um share and copy. And then hold on, y'all. You're gonna hear a little bit of feedback. I'm trying. Hold on, fan base. I'm coming. Go there like that. And go here and paste and do that. And I'm trying to pin. Oh, that's not where I want to go. I'm learning, y'all. Okay, it's there. Maybe. There it is. There. All right, I did it. So it's on YouTube. I pinned the link for Lance Scurv at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time so we can talk about current events and where the law is and how to apply the law in your life so you pertaining to that situation because it's in real time because I give you hypotheticals here. Anywho, thank you all for being here today on such a lovely day. I'm coming to that comment, Cyber. Hold tight. Yoda Burger, Lilith, darling. It's good to see you. I hope you slept. Hmm. Sure hope you did, because you're early today. Anyway, I love you, and I'll see you soon. Twitter, you know where you can find me for the last remnants of gravy from the bowl. I got like 3 minutes before my phone rings. So, I'm going to see y'all. I love you, Twitter. All right. Twitter is closed, y'all. Fan base, thank you all for being here. K, Miss Deborah, KZ, Desiree, Coach, Matthias, Miss McQueen, Flo, Smiles. Miss McQueen, I'm going to send you a DM shortly. Okay. Zola, Yolanda, I see you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the love, and I trust you found it helpful, please apply. And if you have questions about the application, slide into my DMs and I'm going to walk you through it again for your situation. Okay? Anywho, love you, and I'll be on YouTube. Peace. Fan base is closed. Okay, let me do that so I can get my DMs open. Okay, Facebook and YouTube. Iapo says, that's actually my point. The things you have just mentioned are actually the effects of negativity, but not the actual cause. That's what you're seeking to examine, the cause. You are? Ah, you're writing a book about it? I'm ready for that book. Okay, the cause is the way we were taught, Iapo. Look at ah, okay, wait. Let me push that call so I can answer that question. Oh, uh, okay. Okay. So, to answer that question, I can tell you what I learned as a child. I have certain memories. One of the things that my father still says to this day, if you white, you all right. If you brown, you can stick around. If you black, you better stand back. I learned that as a child. I learned that as a child. And I grew up in Barbados, a predominantly black island. Well, not predominantly black, it is black, right? But that's what I learned. And so subconsciously, what do you think comes out of that? So you see, the things that we are taught influence our behavior because we live from the things that we know. You go to church and you hear, thou shalt have none other gods before me. You disappoint me, whatever, I'm going to throw you in the lake of fire. Fear. So now what do? You live your life from fear. You understand? So all of these things, when people say, have you had the talk with your child? Only black parents have to have that talk. Keep your hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2. This is how you talk to the police. You see, all of those things. So when you get up and you go out into the world, what are you doing? You're walking under the umbrella of fear. When you hear a siren, your heart rate speeds up. So this is the cause. What we are taught is the cause of our behavior. If the behavior is positive, we were taught positive things. If the behavior is negative, now here's the kicker. That'll be discussed later on today at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Lance, because I know we're going to talk about the brawl. We are, because I know Lance, right? Yes, Queen Red Pill. That's something I've heard. My son knows it now too, because my father is always here. And so he talks things. He says things like, Dad, you can't say these things. Right? So you got to catch yourself. You got to catch yourself when you're recalling things, because when you recall the behavior, like when I go to the grocery store or any kind of store, like they do in Montessori. Montessori tells you, like when you're training little kids, when you're teaching them, when they're going somewhere and you don't want them to touch things, you have them walk with their hands either folded in front of them or have their hands behind their back, right? That's what we learned in Montessori. And so that's just what I do with my son now. I say, listen, man, I don't care what store we're going in. Don't put your hand, you keep your hands out your pockets. But when I say that to another black person, depending on where they are, that's misconstrued for a whole nother thing, right? So negativity is easier because of the way we are taught. And it's not that we're taught negativity per se, we are taught survival. Hello? We're taught survival. That's what we're taught. And so now, if you live from that place of survival, this is when now it looks negative, it looks positive. It's just that, is it of a benefit to where you say you're going in your life and how you're molding and shaping your life? Is it of a benefit? And if it is not beneficial, then you have to relearn a new way to be. Does that make sense, Apple? Oh, you said that, you quoted that a couple days ago, really? Wow. See, that is so prevalent. Like, it's so prevalent. And we have a whole bunch of names for it, don't we? We have colorism, we have texturism. So, depending on the hair texture, you get treated differently depending on how light or how dark you are. Somebody referred to me as a dark skinned black woman. I was like, I never heard that before. And I grew up in the Caribbean. Like, I've never heard that before. But that is all part of what we were taught. And so there will come a time when you're going to have to examine what you were taught. And so that's why it looks like positive and negative, right? Because the thing that you're reliving may not quite fit. But again, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I trust that that makes sense. Yeah? I trust it makes sense to you today. Um, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, Paul, to answer your question, to elaborate more on it. So, whew, Queen Red Pill, remember to message Lance because, like I said, he is probably just really caught up and busy. Because I know when I spoke to him yesterday, he hadn't quite slept for the day because he was just busy, go, 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 right? And so, yeah, he might just need a reminder. Maybe he hasn't even seen it, so he doesn't even know, right? Yeah, let me know how everything turns out today, and I look forward to seeing you guys at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have time, we're gonna hit the ball right now, y'all. Hold on, we're gonna do the ball, babies. So thank you all for being here. Yes, you know I love you. You do. So hit play. And there it is.